Hey YouTube, welcome back. This is a brand new video build series and we're going to look at this guy, the Tamiya 48 scale F-14A. Beautiful kit, I've built one of these before. So this is a kit. Supplement that, we have a ton of aftermarket which we may or may not use. And we'll be going with my personal favorites, the VF1 Wolfpack scheme. Right there, very retro kind of looking. So that's what we've got going on. This video is the first, as I mentioned, of a new build series. So as always, we'll kind of start by looking a little bit about the project ahead of us, some of the aftermarket, and then we'll get going on the cockpit. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so time for a new build. Let me move my cup of tea out of the way here, and let's kind of talk it through a little bit before we get started. So, get this guy in a shot there. Fantastic kit. It's one of the best engineered kits you can buy in 48 scale. I mean, it's not cheap, but I mean, it's a beautiful kit. You can't do flaps and slats and that kind of stuff deployed, but nevertheless, it's really good. It goes together really well. I built this probably about 2-3 years ago, and it was one, I think it was around Christmas time, and I just remember I started, I just couldn't put it down. I was like, late at night, I was just kept wanting to work on it. It was that good and that kind of engaging for me. So we're going to go with this. Let's talk about the decals first, I guess. We're going to use the micro scale, and they are the number AC480044. And we're going to go with, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do the VF1 Wolfpack. So the scheme right here, so you got your insignia white and light gold grey with the stripes, and it just looks really retro. The buff radome, that's one of my personal kind of favourites. So that's the scheme we're going with, and we're going to do it kind of parked up on the deck kind of configuration. So wheels down, flat wings fully swept back. I built several F-14s of various scales. I've never ever done it with wings swept back for some reason, so this is going to be the first one for me. It just makes things a little bit smaller and easier to kind of store and display with the wings down, with the wings back. So comes with mast set, obviously their decals. I don't need to go through all this pretty much, but really nice plastic. Like I said, the wings are all molded. You can paint them separately, which is really nice. We'll paint them separately, and they'll go in kind of at the end. What I'm fishing for here is the cockpit. So this is nice because it has separate panels, so it makes it easy to paint. So you can paint nice details and paint all this stuff up separately and just kind of glue them at the end, which makes it a whole lot easier. So we are most probably going to go with the kit one. Well, we are going to go with the kit one. So the other aftermarket stuff I've got, let me kind of give you a quick kind of overview. So I've got this from Phase Hanger. It's the F-14A early beaver tail and the 7 vent gun panel for the kit. Basically, I can open this guy. These should be just pretty much easy to fit panels, just replace the existing ones. So the kit has the late tail, not the early one, for which the scheme I'm doing. So the scheme I'm doing is 1970. Doesn't say on the instruction. I believe it's 1972 and one of the earlier ones. So this is the correct kind of tail, the beaver tail for the back, and the gun vent panel on the actual kit doesn't have the 7 vents right here. You see, so this is the correct one. Just kind of bring it up to mark. So this for the decals and the scheme I'm doing. These are the correct 2 parts I need. So again, phase hanger. These weren't very expensive at all. Probably about I think maybe $14. So we've got that one. And then we got the big guns. We got the Eduard Brazen sets. Now, this is one of those things where I bought these guys, but then in retrospect, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use them at all, to be honest with you. The kit is so nice. So, it's one of those things where the kit's so nice, it goes together so well, do you really want to kind of bog down the build by using a bunch of resin and stuff? Now, I did look at the instructions, and it looks like the cockpit fits in pretty well. You don't have to do much surgery. But the problem is, it's nicely detailed and all that kind of stuff, but all the panels are kind of molded in. There's no decals or nothing like that, photo etch or anything. So it's just really, I think, not quite as crisp as the kit ones, I don't think. So if I put the kit one there, you can see, this is, I mean, it's nicely detailed and all that, but this is just a little bit easier to paint, I think, and do. I think at the end of the day, this would look better with my skills and my painting than this would. So I'm going to forego this. So I'm going to use the kit ones. The resin nozzles, this is the open and closed. Yeah, they're okay, but again, is it a huge difference over the kit? Probably not, for the money. Wheels, it would be an improvement, but again, wheels are pretty minor, and then the seats. So what I decided with this set, so again, this set is a Brazin, so it's basically it's a big sin set, which basically means it's like a combo pack. So you're getting the wheels, you get the exhaust nozzles and the cockpit. I'm not going to bother with this. I do want resin seats, but rather than just kind of taking them out of this kit and then leaving all this stuff left over, I'm just going to sell this on eBay and just buy a couple of resin seats to make it up, because these aren't cheap. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this, but the price probably like $30–40 for like this set. So this one's going on eBay. I don't think we're going to use that because it's just not worth it from the kit perspective. And that's one of those things to look at too. It's always good, you know, when you buy kits, run out to buy aftermarket, but sometimes you don't need it. It just causes more work and it probably doesn't look better in the end either. So that's the first one. The second one is the weapon set. Now, again, Tamiya provide pretty good weapons on this, like the Phoenixes and stuff. I'm undecided on this one. We'll wait till we get a little bit further in the build and we'll figure it out. But yeah, these are nice and all that. They're seamless, resin. What was it again? You got your Phoenixes, your 9 GH Sidewinders, and your Sparrows. Yeah, these seem real nice. These aren't bent or anything, like I know a lot Brazin weapons and missiles are, but this seems pretty straight. It looks nice. No seam lines, obviously, but we'll see. Again, I'm not really decided on that one, so we'll wait till we get down to that kind of, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and figure out if we're going to use these weapons or not. But again, the kit ones are pretty nice as is. But it's kind of a quick look at the Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, well, they are actually really nice, but yeah, we'll see. Most probably will use these, but in terms of the cockpit and the nozzles and the rest of it, I don't think we need to worry about that too much. So that is pretty much what we've got going on. So first thing we're going to do in this part is we're going to work on the cockpit. I don't have the seats yet, but that's not a big deal at all. I'll order a couple of like probably Aries resin seats or True Details or something. I'll let you guys know when I get them, and we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, we can perfectly build a cockpit without those seats and add the seats at the very end of the build. So, alright, so let me clean all this stuff away and let's get started with talking about the cockpit. Okay, so as you can see here, we're basically using these two first pages, steps 1 to 4, make up the cockpit tub. So I kind of broke them all out to make things a little bit easier for painting. So what I could paint together, I've kind of added sub-assemblies. So, for example, a cockpit tub, I've added the sticks, I can hand paint those no problem, the pedals, and the back panel right here. So this is a one piece to be sprayed. This guy's a different color. This is XF2, so this will get painted a little bit differently. So it's easy to just paint it separately and we'll add it all to the end. So all the panels here, the back wall of the tub, added these couple of parts together too, and we'll go ahead and we'll work on getting these painted up. So also the instrument panels, with this guy right here we have a clear part. I'm sure you can see a clear part that goes behind it, that goes clear green, so we'll paint that separately too, and then we're at it again, a bit easier to paint all this stuff individually. So I got these usual way using the old lollipop sticks or popsicle sticks anywhere on the world. I'm just going to add all the panels, and then we're going to give it a good paint. So basically just with a glue tack, just hold them in place. That makes it a lot easier to paint that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these ready for painting. Probably won't prime it, to be honest. I don't really prime cockpit tubs because you don't get touching them or any feel. It's inside the aircraft, so you don't need to really protect the paint that much. So I'll probably go ahead and just start painting this, and it will be the dark gold grey. Will be the usual kind of US interior color. It does say here, I think XF19, but that's not quite right. So I'll go with the correct color. So let me go ahead and get these prepped up, and we'll get these painted up. Once they're painted up in the grey and dried, and come back in and paint the panels and all the little switches and the rest of the stuff. Okay, so we've painted all the parts down here. Just a little shade different, I guess. The old, was it dark gold grey, the usual. So painted all the parts up, as you can see down here, all different panels and stuff. And my go-to is MRP dark gold grey, surprisingly enough, which is number 100. And this is really the gift that keeps on giving. I know I mention this every time I do a video, but every modern American aircraft has this as the cockpit color. I've had this bottle probably for like 3 or 4 years. You use so little to paint that. I mean, it just lasts forever. So I'm still probably got 2/3 of a bottle left. So it might cost $6 something for the bottle, but obviously it's certainly get my money's worth out of it. So it's a perfect match, and it works pretty good. So all these guys are painted up, the base colors ready to go, and next up is some detail painting. So there's the odd part here and there which is like khaki, I think like a little bit kind of shroud, kind of sides, like a little bag on here too, and the rest of it's pretty much going to be black for the panels. So I'm going to kind of mask up all this stuff, paint the khaki, and then mask it up, paint the black panels, and then we'll come back and start working on the switches. Okay, so as you can see, we're zoomed in a little bit. We're pretty much making good progress here with the cockpit, so painted a lot of it. So painted the panels individually, and I just glued them on afterwards. It makes it a little bit easier. So as you know, earlier we painted it grey, and then we came back and we masked quite a lot of it up and sprayed on the black for the panels. Within the panels, in between each individual kind of, I don't know what you call them, like sub panels, I guess. I just used a little bit of the right here, the grey Tamiya accent color. Worked pretty good. So you just dab it on them, and it kind of just flows across all different lines and gives you that kind of divide between the little individual panels. So did that. Then hand painted individual switches using the model color paints, which I like to use. They're a little bit thicker, the better for hand painting, better than using like Tamiya kind of colors. So what I use is use good old-fashioned toothpick or cocktail stick, depending where you are in the world. Just dip it in the paint, and then on each switch, just dab it on each switch carefully. Have a Q-tip by my side, so this paint, if you go over to miss a switch, just wipes right off, and you can just go again if you're making any mistakes. Don't have, my clear green for the, let me show you. So in there, you can really see it. I went with clear yellow. You're supposed to do clear green, but mine's completely dried up and not usable. So I went with yellow. It's close enough. You're not really going to see it inside the cockpit anyway. So there's a decal that goes on top of it. So did all that, painted individually. Then once it's all painted, I glued them all in, and that's pretty much where we're at. So there's again, I'm not the best at painting cockpits. I'm a big fan of the decal ones, but especially in 48, it's kind of mid-scale kind of for me. It's 30 seconds is okay to hand paint them for me, but 48 gets a little small. I'm not always the neatest, but yeah. So basically picked out all different like switches using some pictures on Google, trying to figure out which ones are yellow and red and that kind of stuff. But most of them are pretty much white. Just using again regular model color paint. So what I got left to do is I got a white piece that goes in the back. I just sprayed on the back wall of the tub. I've got the side panels to go on, and then we're at a little bit of a wash. So I'll go ahead and start working some more on that, and then we'll come back once it's come all together and ready for the wash stage. Right, so everything's painted up. Now we're going to add a little bit of a wash. Now for cockpits, I'm really like the Citadel washes. Now we have down here we have Nolan oil, and we have Agraf Earthshade, which so basically a black and a brown. I use this time around I'm going to use Agraf's Earthshade, see how that looks. That's a brown color. I did shake it up just a couple of minutes ago. If you can kind of see there the kind of color of it. So it makes a good kind of grimy color. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of my brush and then just basically lightly brush it all over. Starting with these side panels. A bit more. It's going to pick out all the detail when it dries. Just going to let this guy go. There. A little bit too much. And same in the tub. You're not going to see any of this stuff in all honesty. Oh, I've got to mention, I did add the decals too, so not sure if you're going to see those, but a couple of instruments and stuff are in there, so that's in there too. Just add a little bit more. Again, you're not going to see any of this really in this scale. especially when these seats go in. That's it, easy as that. Literally a couple of drops from the top of the bottle. So again, I used the Agraf Earth Shade, which is the brown kind of color, grimy kind of color. Often use Nuln Oil as well. That's a black. That kind of works really good too. But these are my go-to little acrylic white water-based washes for cockpits. Work really good. So again, just brushed on really quick. We'll just let it dry off, and it'll seep into all those and pick out all the detail on these guys, and then we'll get those on, and then we're pretty much done with the cockpit. So let me just let this dry for half an hour or so, and then we'll come back. Okay, so that is the cockpit done. So sides on, no problem at all. Just use a little bit of the Tamiya white top glue or the hexagonal one, depending on the wall. It's the same, the resin glue, because the painted parts, it just goes a little bit better than the extra thin. So that's it. Zoomed in, super ridiculously close. Give an idea of size. Here's a thing of paint. Sorry, a thing of glue. If I just zoom out a little. Oh, wrong way. You can see how small this guy really is. I'm glad I didn't go bust open all the resin stuff in the end, the Eduard stuff. It looks nice, but I don't think you can notice much difference. By the time this is inside the aircraft, yeah, by the time this is in the aircraft, you're not going to see much of this, especially when the seats are in. But yeah, it looks really good. Happy how it turned out. So that wraps it up. So that's the cockpit part. It's kind of moving forward a little bit in the build process. Next up, basically what you do is, zoom out real quick, show the instructions. Basically what's up next is you build the wheel well, and then that goes kind of on the bottom of the cockpit tub, and then it kind of slots into the front end of the aircraft. See there. So next time we'll work on the wheel well, and that goes in, and also that get painted at the very end, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's it. Cockpit done. Seats we'll do later. I'll get some resin seats, because these ones are okay in the kit, but they come with kind of decal kind of belts and stuff, and for a lower tiny expense it is, I think it is worth going with the resin seats. So we'll do that, and we'll talk about it later. So yeah, that wraps up this week. The cockpit, hopefully found some useful stuff there, and I'll see you next week. So until next time, see ya, goodbye.